Yes, I was interviewing someone. Well, first, let me make this point. I purposely did not. The assessment came from the recruiter. I don't want to see it, but I don't want.
I like that.
I don't want to
Actually.
see it before the interview. And the reason why is because, and this is going back to the psychology, we're human and bias exists. And it's created sometimes what we know. And I can't unknow what I just read. And then once I was done and I filled out my scorecard, then I went to read the assessment, which said she is not a good fit for the sales team. Now, I could have went back to the recruiter and said, well, what the hell did you schedule her for if the assessment told you? Welcome to Lead Like a Girl, where we are empowering everyday women through our stories. I am your host, Jessica Smith, and I began this journey by sharing my life story. Now, I've joined forces with my longtime friends, Jamie and Coralyn, to keep this party going. We met many years ago as young sales girls in our 20s, driven and quickly rising to the top of our industry. As the years went on, life happened, and we all found ourselves in new companies and completely different industries, still striving for success in it all. Career, family, faith, fun. Now, it wasn't easy, but we never stopped moving. Get ready for our real conversations, inspiring stories, and our big life lessons as we share it all. The good, the bad, and the funny. Welcome to Lead Like a Girl.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of Lead Like a Girl. This is where we are empowering everyday women with our stories. We thank everybody listening. Sometimes I go back to see if I missed an episode. And today I went back and just re-listened to the episode we had with Jen Harkness where she was climbing Mount Kilimanjaro. And I'm telling you what, I got motivated again.
Jamie, you're giving yourself like your own high five. Like I'm
giving myself my own high five. So good at this. No, just kidding. No, sometimes I listen and it's just like, my gosh, when you're hosting, you're kind of distracted because you're taking notes or you're whatever. Just listening to it as a listener was so great. So I would almost encourage, if you're new to this, jump back, like listen to Jessica's whole life story, jump into episode probably 2 that was terrible.
Actually, our early on episodes are pretty entertaining because it's our origin story of how we all met and why we're even here right now. So it actually is I went back and did a throwback and just listened to see how we've changed over with experience, and we're not that bad.
We're not that bad. I have to tell you guys, and not another plug on us, but
let me talk about myself.
Let me tell you about how great we are. I remember telling my now husband, we're thinking about this, and he goes, I think everyone would like to just sit around and listen to the 3 of you talk.
I'm mad that we didn't make the move and do an episode while we were there. I know it was busy. It was your wedding, but we need to do that. Like, right? I don't know. It was probably going to be different.
We had so much to do. Well, you were here for such a short time. There was so much to do. And then, oh my gosh, well, you'll get my thank you packages. You guys helped me so much.
We got to bring our mic next time.
Bring your mic next time. But it's because I'm being recruited. And so I did a personality test.
What if my boss is listening to this episode? I'm just curious.
He knows. I told him. So
wow. Okay.
I'm just like that.
Yeah.
Just like that.
Okay.
Like, you have competition, buddy.
Yeah.
Have you guys ever done, so I had to do like a 5-minute, literally 5-minute personality test. Have you ever done a personality test? And I think this relates to what we're talking about in terms of sometimes when you're 50 years old, all of a sudden you're looking at a new job, or you have to look at a new job, or you're getting recruited, or things are changing. Have you ever taken a personality test and looked at the results and went, that's not even, wait, what?
So are we talking person? Because there's things that happen right now in the job market, and there are a few different assessments. Some I agree with, and some that I don't. And I don't want to hijack this.
No, please. Yes, this is a collaboration today.
Okay, because so there are two different type of assessments, and there's that one that I have. I'm not going to name any names, but I have a sick little sister that really enjoys taking those assessments where they're really trying to see how smart you are. And it's not necessarily a personality assessment, but they ask you all of these, whether they're like math questions, all these crazy type of shapes, like all just, I don't even know. Coralyn, what are they called? You know what I'm talking about?
Aptitude test.
There you go. I'm so stupid. I don't even know that word.
Well, so it's like there's the big 5 personality DISC, right, guys?
Yeah.
DISC.
Yes.
There's Myers-Briggs.
Yeah, those are all.
Yeah.
Those are not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about those are fine. And the reason I say those are fine is because I think those are truly looking at people's strengths and their personalities. And I don't think it's kind of a pass or a fail type of thing. But what I'm talking about, there are companies that if you don't pass that assessment, you're not even getting a first interview. And that's the part that I don't agree with. What do you think?
I've never had to take it before, but I think it would, to me, it would depend on what kind of role. The only time that I've ever had to take anything close to that was a very entry level job when I was in high school, and they wanted to make sure I could add numbers and give change. So I'm sure that's not what your sister is taking at this point.
No. But she does find joy in these, because I was telling her about one that I took a while back. And she's like, oh my God, you should have called me. That's so fun. I love those. And I'm like, you are sick. You are one sick individual.
I just don't see, like, I understand the efficiency of it and kind of like weeding people out and figuring out, okay, who's the best person for the job. But I don't know. I just, I don't know anybody who likes taking them. So just
well, actually, we had one. Now that I'm thinking about it, we used one at Direct Buy back in the day. But what I also remember is that when we started using it, Mark and Paul had all of us take it because they wanted to see where we would score. And then that's how they were kind of guided by, okay, well, if Jessica still passed the test, then maybe it is a good, indication of the people we should hire for sales. Or if Monique scored this on it, then, people in customer service should score this. So I can appreciate that they did a little test, and I don't know what people do before deciding, but there are some companies out there right now that are using these and really weeding people out in the very beginning of the process. And that's the part that I don't necessarily agree with.
Mm-hmm. It depends on the motivation, because in my impression, when I've had to take those before, as I've been going through job interviews, is that they're trying to get a good develop. Are you a good fit, like personality wise? Are you a good decision maker? And some of those things, like it's the personality that you are, either you are or you're not. And so I don't think it's personal, but we just need to have this type of person. And we found that this person who tests this way on these tests are the ones that typically perform in this way, right?
Yeah.
Is that what you're finding, Jamie?
So, and I'll tell you guys honestly, I am working towards a leadership position, and I haven't had to interview people for like 10 years. And so some of the process behind me going through this recruiting process, and I don't want to take people's time up, of course, but it's kind of educating myself on, like, when I'm looking for somebody, what am I looking for in this personality? What am I looking for? Because you can't observe that, right? So in the interview process, you have to basically figure out, okay, are you good? Are you what I want? Am I what you want? Are you going to do the right job, without ever observing them in their actual professional role? So whatever the term for that is. But I guess my next question for you guys are personality tests more objective than the interview? Like, do you think you're going to be able to get the same knowledge on this candidate from an interview versus that first step, which is a personality test?
No, not for me. Absolutely not. I don't believe so. But here's a perfect
example. I agree with you, Jessica.
So you didn't know this, but literally today at 11:30, I did an interview. And
wait, what do you mean did? Conducted or?
Yes. Okay. I was interviewing someone. And her assessment said she is not a good fit for the sales team. Okay. And at the end of the interview, first, let me make this point. I purposely did not, the assessment came from the recruiter. I don't want to see it. And I don't know if that makes me not doing my job, but I like
that.
I don't want to see it before the interview. That's what I should say. And the reason why is because, and this is going back to the psychology, we're human and bias exists. And it's created sometimes what we know. And I can't unknow what I just read in this assessment that says she's not a good fit for the sales team. So I don't want to ever look at those, me personally. But I interviewed her. And then once I was done and I filled out my scorecard, then I went to read the assessment, which said she is not a good fit for the sales team. Now, I could have went back to the recruiter and said, well, what the hell did you schedule her for if the assessment told you? Because usually that's what they do. But she was there and I interviewed her, but I came to that same conclusion. And I thought she was good enough to maybe put somewhere, but I didn't totally not like her. I just didn't think that she had what it takes to do that job that we were interviewing her for.
Mm-hmm. So share with us, Jessica, or talk about this. How does that reading that assessment or doing a test make your job more efficient? In my opinion, I feel that leaning on personality indicators, assessments, whatever, evaluating your skills would help when you've got a sea of applications and applicants and you've got some people that are referred in, they've got different priorities, all of that. I feel in some capacity, some sort of assessment that puts everyone on a playing field across the board could help count people in or count people out by trying to eliminate bias. Thoughts?
I'm trying to make sure I understood the question. I like I said, I do see value in them. I just think you need to be careful how you use them. So I don't like using them to weed people out before you even do the interview. And then for me personally, I want to do the interview. And then maybe if I have my top candidates, referring to the assessment could certainly be helpful in a deciding factor. And then I can weigh out, hey, this says that this person's strengths are here. Is that kind of what I was seeing in the interview? Is that consistent to what I was seeing? So I feel like interviews, I feel like I'm really good at understanding people during an interview. Usually when I call certain things in an interview, they more times than not tend to be the case. And that could just be a good judge, right? Or a good intuition or whatever.
Mm-hmm. So, Jamie, when you talked about that you wanted to have this conversation, I did a little research myself. Do you know, according to some places, that personality assessments are a $2 billion industry?
Seriously?
And yes. Like, I read that over and looked for, fact checked it.
Well, yeah, and I think it's definitely let's make our whole process more efficient. Let's make sure whatever the personality style is aligns with our company's culture. But there's so much more that can be learned face to face. And then let's throw in the aspect of social media, nobody talks to each other, all these things where people don't know how to interact face to face. So, I mean, you might be the best person for the job, but you might also have a terrible interview because you don't know how to react to someone face to face. I'm sorry, that was like 7 subjects in one answer, but do you know what I'm saying?
I do, but I want to pick apart something that you said because I want to know. I hear this a lot. Fits with our culture. What does that mean?
Well, like when I went in and interviewed and with the position I have now, I'm like, I specifically was like asking them questions like, what are your goals for inclusion and diversity? What are your goals for giving back to your employees? What do you got? Why should I work here? And when they started talking about the goals for their culture, I'm like, oh, great. So I think being in a company that celebrates everyone, gives back to their employees.
Okay. I like it.
That's what I mean by culture.
Got it. And the reason I ask that is because, and this is kind of where these tests sometimes people, when they say they're looking for a good fit, it aligns with their culture. Sometimes what that means is we want people to be like us. You fit in. And I think that's a problem because
that's a good valid point.
And I see it all the time where everybody, and it's not just looks, right? It's everybody looks the same or everyone has the same background and experience. In the automotive industry, we had a bad problem with that. And sometimes I'm like, listen, guys, we need people that are not from this industry. I'm a perfect example of that. We need people that are great leaders, that are great salespeople. And it doesn't matter if they don't come from this industry. We need them. That's why we need them.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's one of the reasons why I was attracted to even the company I'm working for, was because when you walk through the halls, you see, and that's what I'm attracted to, was like, right, every kind of person, every ethnicity, every religion, everything. It was just such a variety.
And they didn't hold it against you that you've never done anything like this before.
They told me, and I didn't understand this because I didn't know the industry yet, but when I was hired, they said, after we interviewed you, we don't think any builder is going to want to work with anybody but you. And I didn't understand that, but it was because I'm competing with I have the same builder that gets multiple bids from different, but I was and it goes back to the company. Goes back to that relationship building. It goes back to, all right, I'm going to do everything to get this job.
Well, we're talking about one little segment of how a company uses a personality.
There you go.
Mm-hmm. But it gets used in a lot of different ways. I would say companies use it after you're hired. So they go through all of the basics in kind of the traditional way to interview, and now you're hired, and I just want to know how to interact with Jessica the absolute best, because we have different personalities. We don't, but we do. But if I'm extroverted and you're introverted, that's going to change our communication style. If you are a judger versus a thinker, if you make quick decisions or you need time to process, all of those things help us interact in a better way so we can get to the end. Because I would agree, diversity of thought is, and diversity of how to not just what you think, but how you think can impact the outcomes of everything. And if everyone's speed going through trying to get this project done and you don't take any of that in consideration, it's going to actually make your process slower.
Yeah. And I was thinking that, Coralyn, you were reading my mind, which is the interview process is just one place that they use these. So when she talked about I don't know how many billions of dollars you said the industry is, it's not just using them for interviewing. It's using the same assessment to then take that assessment, and it's going to tell you something about the employee. And that information is how you use it to interact with that person. Mm-hmm. And then the next way that I have seen this being used is also just for your own self-development. I remember the first time that I took one of those tests, and they were like, oh, you're all green and red. And I'm like, what the heck is that? and the way that it breaks that down and helps you understand. And when you understand what your current state is, and then you take another test a year from now, it's interesting to see how you've grown and how you've changed and how maybe your strengths have even become stronger, or some of your weaknesses are now strengths. So I have my favorite way to use these assessments is to use them for your own growth and development of your career and just learning how to be better in different areas. There's some that are designed specifically for leadership. So I think those are all three very different ways of using the same type of assessment for someone's career.
Mm-hmm. I think too, it was brought up this week. We were doing some, I think maybe it was DISC, but anyway, it was trying to identify my own way of communication versus maybe my client's way of communication. And then one thing that was brought up, which I think is phenomenal, is like, it could be different every single day. Because on Monday morning, you might be ready to communicate verbally and have fun and be uninhibited and whatever. And if it's Thursday and you have a quote due and you need information and you're just like, just give me the stuff, that it can change all the time. And I think throughout our careers, it can change all the time. But I found that very impactful this week to kind of think about how it can change day by day.
In terms of communication, and this is not to veer off of the conversation, but you just made me think of this. There's been an ongoing client problem, and it's going back and forth through emails for like seriously 6 weeks. And I'm on a one-on-one today, and the rep says, yeah, we're still dealing with it. And I'm like, what we're going to do right now? We're just going to call him right now. And I literally just called him, and within 5 minutes, I feel like we had more done in that 5 minutes than 6 weeks of emails. So I just wanted to throw that out there, that I don't care how the world is changing and there's different ways to communicate. Sometimes we just got to go back and do the old fashioned thing and pick up the phone and have a conversation.
I have so many examples where that has come into play, where I will be talking to somebody about getting something figured out. And my question is, well, did you call them and ask them what their response is or what they're feeling? No, I'm just waiting for them to email me back. And I just think that is an absolute missed opportunity. Even to a very rudimentary, dumb example is I was doing some event planning, and I was working with somebody, and we had to plan like dinner for 35 people. And the person, this was a while back, that I was working with, they had said, yeah, the website says that they don't take reservations. And so we got to go someplace else, period. And I just looked at them and I just thought, what? And I'm like, oh, hold the phone. And so they left. I made a phone call, got a hold of the manager, and told them, we're coming. Everyone's going to eat. Everyone's going to drink. This is going to be a significant bill. Can you book us on Thursday at 6:00 for 35 people? Yes, right away. And it was literally a 15-minute conversation. When we got there, the guy met me at the door, was like, hey, Coralyn, glad you're here. All the things. Perfect. And had we taken what the website said or waited for an email, we would have went someplace else, and this guy would have missed out on a several $1,000 check. You know what I mean? So it's just like this whole conversation where but the crazy thing about it, looking back, and it wasn't even a consideration to make a phone call and sell somebody on your idea. Like, it just didn't even register.
So what would that person's assessment have said if we would have assessed them before hiring?
Like, rule follower, like...
Right?
You know what? I have to tell you guys, I wrote a letter today. We're talking about communication and showing up and going on the website and calling people. I literally wrote a letter today.
Yeah.
A note or a letter?
A letter to the person, Jessica, you were making fun of me for because I met her and she's from Atlanta and she gave me her address. So anyway.
Depending on how old she is, I hope you didn't write in cursive.
Right.
My handwriting is terrible. I love that story because I love that sometimes we have to, and I hate to say think outside the box because I don't think calling someone is thinking outside the box. But at the same time, like there are so many more ways to be efficient when it comes to connecting with people, selling to them. There's so many ways to be more efficient with like we're talking about, like recruiting. And some of them make a lot of sense, but then you have to consider the other side. You have to consider like having you take a test might not be as efficient as just taking a half an hour out of your time to meet with them. So sorry, just wanted to mention that before I forgot it. Go ahead, Coralyn.
Yeah, I just wanted to dive in a little bit too with what Jessica said as the third way of where personality assessments really come into play, and that's with our own self-assessment. And I think that can happen, that can help you in two ways. One, I mean, it's just knowing yourself and knowing your own mannerisms from how they've changed over time is only going to serve you better. The better you know yourself, the better you can lead, the better you can function, collaborate, be relational, all the things. But I also think part two is that when you know how you react and how you speak, how you communicate, it's going to help you you're going to be a better teammate if you know yourself better, and if people know how you are, then they're going to communicate with you better. So like talking about your personality traits and things like that is only an ad, right? But I will give you a really interesting example is that, so I have taken every personality indicator. I know that I'm an ESTJ.
I'm sure you have. Yes.
Yeah. I know that. I know on the predictive index, I'm a maverick. I know that on Giant, I'm a connector creative. Like I know all of these things. And so when you look at that, it's like, it's competitive. I, like to make decisions. I'm like extroverted, all the things. So, but here's an interesting thing is that to your point is that sometimes the personality test or whatever this indicator that you take, sometimes it gives you a glimpse into yourself that maybe you didn't know. So somebody suggested I take this primal question indicator. And what it is basically, what is the question that drive like you internally drives you? And a lot of it stems from your upbringing, sometimes your childhood. And it's things like, am I successful? Am I loved? Am I worthy? Am I all these things? And without even taking the test, I'm like, I already know. It's like, I'm concerned about whether or not I'm successful. And so I'm like, I don't even need to take this test. And I was encouraged to take it. So I went through it and I got my response and the test came back. Am I negative? Safe? No, it came back negative. It came back as my primal question is, am I safe? And I'm like, well, this is broken. Let me take this again. And I literally took the whole test again.
No, you can't do that.
No, but listen, I took the whole test again and it kicked out the same answer. Am I safe?
No, I just said that you can't do that. That's like standing on the scale twice in one morning. Go ahead.
I might do that also. I was just
going to say, my really, honestly, my last question was, have you taken a test and then gotten the results and going, that is not me. Like, I don't understand this answer. So how did you feel about that, Cor?
I had to unpack that beast, right? So I'm like, what do you mean? Because but then it got me thinking is that, so something that my darling spouse always kind of razzes me for is like, why do you always need to be in control? Why do you always need to be like, even if we were going to go on a beach and we rent a jet ski, I do not like riding in the back. Like I either need to drive like with him on the back or by myself. Like I don't like to be second seat. And I always feel anxious.
Wait, right? Can I give you one more example of that? If she's in a restaurant, she has to be sitting toward the door, like so that she could see the door.
So I can see the door.
I'm the same way, but when I'm with my husband, he doesn't allow it. and I submit and allow him to face the door because I know he's stronger than me.
Yeah, sometimes. But the thing about it is that what it really opened up for me to think about is that the drive for me to be in control isn't because I want to manage everything. It's because somewhere in my deep psyche is that if I'm not in control, I feel unsafe. And that's the driver. And so when you think about how all these things play out and like how these things, like how I've made decisions through my life is that at some point in my childhood, which is a whole nother thing we can unpack, like I felt unsafe. And so
right.
Now,
how long ago was
adult, yeah. What'd you say?
How long ago was that you took that test?
Probably 6 months ago, 8 months ago.
Oh, okay. Okay. So we still have time. I'm going to help you unpack that.
But all I'm saying, and we don't need to get into like the dirt, like for this episode,
not now.
We'll save that for another episode. But all I'm saying though is that sometimes these assessments that you can take are super introspective into like, why do I react this way all the time when I'm talking to this particular person or this particular personality, and it can help you. So maybe I can not sit facing the door. I can realize that this is like what I'm feeling is maybe an artificial motivation, and so it can help you personally.
Yes. Yeah. I love it. And those are the ones that I agree with. And I think there's only pros to them. There's no cons on your con side to that.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, we're getting at time here, but I want to end with some of the assessments they gave me today and see how you guys,
you mean like you took an assessment?
I had an assessment today and I got my results, and it says that I have a flexible approach to the book, often bends the rules and does things their own way. Outside the box thinker who is undaunted by failure. And I'm like, is that me? A promoter. So I'm a promoter. A casual, uninhibited, and persuasive extrovert with a tendency for informality. And I was like,
yeah, that's accurate.
Is it? Because I don't think it is. I was like, no.
Like, what don't you think is accurate? I don't know if you're like bend the rules. I feel like you're more of a rule follower.
Yeah, like I'm not like a bend the rules person, but yet I do think I can be. And let's put this in context. I live in Iowa.
Remember that time that she had 3 jobs for like 5 years?
That was 2 jobs.
Is that bending the rules or just being aggressive?
That was 2 jobs for 7 years, Jessica.
Okay, well, either way. No,
but it also said like not
outside the box.
It also said not interested in details.
Right.
And I'm like, wait, what? So some of the things that came out today made me want to do this topic because I was like, I don't think some of those things actually are correct. I wouldn't say I bend the rules, but I definitely am a go-getter. Like I will freaking do anything to get the job, get the project, get whatever.
Be careful with these. Not anything,
But I'll go out there and climb a fence. I will go out there and meet with the builder. I will go out there and do whatever.
Yeah, but think about it from this standpoint. So let's just say they said, hey, Jamie, you got to take care of the customer, but don't take calls, after hours because the rule, we want you to have a work-life balance.
I will still take those calls. Yeah.
There you go.
You're right.
That's a rule breaker. So rule breaking doesn't necessarily mean you're doing something bad because sometimes the rules are just not always.
Probably trying to protect you from your work-life balance, in which I'm like, give me the work.
Okay. Whole nother show.
Maybe not when the kids were little, but now that I'm almost in like empty nester, yes, I'll be like, just give it to me. But anyway, the whole reason I wanted to do this topic was just because I had to take this assessment today and I read it and I was like, that doesn't even wait, what? Like some of those things are real, but they also had about 100 descriptors and you're supposed to tag the ones you think are you and then the ones, whatever. And I mean, I had 2 minutes, so I checked the ones really quickly. But I thank you guys so much for this, because I think this is actually, with the amount of people who are not only being recruited, but also having to look for another position, maybe later in life, there are so many more people that are required to take some of these tests. And some people have probably taken them, some have not. And sometimes it takes a while to fill them out, but it's happening. And when we talk about getting a career, changing your career, whatever it is later in life, I think these are the type of topics that come up more often than not. So
yeah, I'm gonna add one thing you just made me think of. I've also had people that have used some of these assessments in their resume or in their interview process, in their 30, 60, 90 plan, introducing themselves. So that's another great way. And I'm a fan of that, because it's basically saying, here's who I am from that standpoint. And I think it's ballsy, because you could have someone on the other side that says, I don't like people that are really green or red, but that's okay, because they're going to see the green and red in me real soon if I get this job. So why not just introduce myself as green and red?
Mm-hmm. Yep. And as always, like, honesty is the best policy. I mean,
yeah. So
you get hired and you're working with them, they're going to find out how you work. So any last thoughts from either one of you guys? Any more last thoughts from either one of you guys?
I would say, you are not 100% whatever your personality type is. I feel like it's more of a map, but you still have to follow it. You still have to drive the car and decide who you are and what pieces of that like really resonate. Cause sometimes it's just like almost like a crystal ball. It made me seem like, oh yeah, I guess I kind of am like that. But I think that if you've never taken one, if you haven't taken one in a while, that the advice is try one out that's maybe tried and true, and go deep on it. And really, like me, like if you get a result, maybe unpack it a little bit. Don't take 5 of them and take it all superficially. It's like probably reading a chapter out of 5 different books and thinking you're going to learn something. Like just like pick one and decide what it is, and chew on it a little bit. And I don't know, I think at the end of the day, personality tests, they don't have all the answers, but they are a starting point for a conversation and to help impact yourself and the people that are in your circle and you get to work with.
Absolutely. Well, this was fun, ladies.
Thank you so much for listening to us. Please remember that we have merch on leadlikeagirllab.com. And if any of this resonates with you, please share. We appreciate it so much. We'll see you next week.